Hmm. Okay, welcome to AstroIndexer. Today I'll show you how AstroIndexer helps you turn a messy astrophotography archive into something searchable, inspectable, and useful for processing decisions. So let's go over what we are going to look at today. We'll go from archive chaos to browsing your images and galleries, to frame quality, to insights across nights, and finally how all of this can support your processing. So we all know the problem. We don't lack storage as astrophotographers. But the problem is, after a while, folders stop answering practical questions. What did I shoot? Which target has usable data? Which frames are weak? Which filters or night perform the best? And what should I process next and which didn't I process at all? So these are all the questions we keep asking ourselves, and this is where AstroIndexer comes in. Now AstroIndexer, let me show you. This AstroIndexer, it scans your library, it reads your astronomy metadata, it groups targets, filters, builds a local index, and the original files stay where they are. So let's have a look at the gallery. I already scanned part of my images, so it's already indexed. And the next problem is navigation. So you start off here with all your catalogs, and from catalogs you go to targets, from targets you go to filters, and from there you go to files. So let's have a look at this. Here I only have got one object, which is VDB133. It's an LRGB image. I'll have some final images and also have some processed frames in here. So I can look at all my individual images. You can see, since I just scanned them in here, there's no analysis done to them. However, I can already open it and say, well, let me have a look, see what they look like. can see it's plate solved. I can see the distortion here, and there's a few other things I can look at. I can look at the if it's headers, see what information I have. I can see, since I image with Nina, I'll get some environmental information that's stored with the image. So I'll get to enjoy all of that. I can see distortion in 2 different views. This is not available yet because I haven't run the quality analysis, so it will be available later, and obviously some stats. So that's a single image. Let's close that. Let's go back. Let's have a look at a final image. Obviously, same thing here. So I can open it. Maybe not this one. Let's have a look at this one. So here I've done some processing. I can also plate solve it. I can show the distortion, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so also when I go to a catalog that has more than one image or more than one object, you can see on the right-hand side, I'll see some preview on the object itself, what type it is, what class it is, magnitude, size, etc. And also I get a little sky map in the bottom corner that allows me to get some orientation on where the object is in the sky. So that's one way of looking at it. Okay, now I suggest we'll move on and have a look at the index overview. So if I don't like the whole visual here, that gives me a pure list of all the objects I have. I can group, I can see the object, the catalog, which years I imaged. If you see 2 year numbers, that basically just means I'll start it, let's say in December, and I continued in January the next year. I see filters used, total exposure time, etc., etc. If I'll now go back to the object which we had before, I'll see what's actually in the folder itself. And if I'll see something that I really like, I can just view an image. Let me just close it off, and then we can continue. Let me just set this up again. Okay. So let's go to statistics. Statistics is meant to give you an insight on all the images you took across all the years, total exposure, total targets image, what is your best month. So it just gives you some slide statistics. If you are a user that has a lot of different setups, you also have an overview of how many images, how many objects you took with which setup. You get your session summary. What do I need to go into this? A year in review, since I picked only a very few objects. There's not a whole lot of information. You can see I only imaged in 2025 30 nights, comes to 56 hours, but I'll see per year what's been happening. That's what it's meant for. And then we have the image overlay. So imagine you have all your processing done, you see all your images in the gallery, but it's nice for you to look at, and you do want to share this. This is what image overlay export is meant to be. It already puts, let me open this, the object information, the image in here, puts it together, it shares, and you see there's some gaps here because it doesn't show the object that only have raw light images. So they have not been processed. You will not see them here, but you'll see them basically once they process, they show up here. So those are all your shareable images. So, okay, then let's go to catalog completion. That is basically whenever you image something, you'll see it. And let's say you have the goal, you want to image all the images, the object in the Messier catalog. This allows you to basically keep a good track record. It's the gallery just sorted by catalog. And there is a lot of things for you to do here. So this is your catalog completion tracker and overview. It gives you a summary. So you'll see basically the key catalogs like Caldwell, Bernard, Sharpless, Messier, NGC. How much did you get done yet? All right. And let's go to the equipment manager. So we'll try and keep this short and leave some stuff for later. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. Otherwise, I'll just carry on here. And we'll just give me a minute. I'll just realize this is not showing you the live image, is it? Well, let me just double check. Oh, it is. Perfect. Okay. So in your equipment manager, basically it takes all the information it has from your FITS files. It creates what I call an equipment setup. That is a combination of telescope and camera. And it will store it with all bunch of information which the app's going to use if you set this up in different modules. So what you basically have here, you've got your equipment, you've got your camera, you can put in an observer location that will be used for planning later on. You can also make this equipment active or not active. So let's say you scanned all your library from the past, but you already sold your telescope or the camera. So you're not going to have that combination ever coming again. It's going to pop up here automatically, but you just set this to inactive and it will kind of disappear from the list. So when it comes to planning, only your truly active available telescopes will show up. You see all your files, you see all your filters. In here you can, it's a drop down. You can select actually the proper brand. You can select the Astrobin ID if it's available. So later on you can also upload all your files to Astrobin. It gives you what type of filter is, broadband, narrowband, bandwidth, etc., etc. It also gets your gain offset information from your files and basically classes them as, hey, this is what you're using. It also automatically, once you scan your library, it creates calibration sets. So if you have calibration files within the object folders, it will remember them and will create a calibration library. So when you want to stack or even process with AstroIndexer, it already has your raw files. It's got the calibration sets. You can see it's bias and flat files. It's already got them created, so you're ready to go. Okay, so that is this here. Then you've got your QE curve for your camera. You can see, what bandwidth the filters cover, and also a little sneak preview here. You've got your back focus manager. So this allows you to visually slide in all the adapters, all the different cameras that you actually have, your filter wheel, your off-axis guider, your spacers, adapters, etc. So specifically meant for people who have remote setups. If you cannot really remember what you actually installed to get to focus, or you can see here you have a couple of spare spaces available in the hosting, this will allow you to actually manage. So whenever you have to change the setup or you bought a new camera, but you're not quite sure, do you have a spacer there to install or should you actually buy an appropriate spacer so somebody can actually install the new camera and not miss a part. This allows you to manage all of that. All right, you set this up once, it stores it. That's one way of using it. The other way is obviously you'll have all your equipment here and you can say, well, for this one, you have like 5 spare laying around, and it shows you 5 spare, right? And you can either drag them to other equipment and then you only have 4 left available, but you can go in here and see, well, you have one or do you need to buy one? That's what it's meant to be, and it's actually fun to work with. So let's go to the planner. This is where you can use obviously your equipment setup. Remember all the setup that I have. So I'll pick one and then I can plan an object that is high in the sky now, that's feasible and matches my equipment. It shows you the best month I have, how many exposure hours that are available, and then I can obviously plan this. We're not going to go into planning today. However, it is possible, and it already takes all the information it has about your equipment setup and puts it to good use. So, sky map. There's 2 versions of sky map. The celestial map, that just basically lets you see a good coverage of the sky and where you love to image the most. And then you have the Sky Atlas. And Sky Atlas is something I really enjoy. So it puts all the images that you have and overlays them into sky. So one point in time, I'll have that mapped out fully like a wallpaper. So that is what Sky Atlas is. It also tells you like what the images is, where it is, you can zoom in, etc., etc. So it takes the best images and displays them on the sky itself. Now, image quality analysis. So let's go here. I haven't run anything because I want to show you one way of working it. You can do this in the beginning. You can scan your whole library all in one go, do your image quality all in one go in one autopilot run. So it runs through the night, it gets it all done automatically, or you can be very selective. And that's what I want to show you. So let's say I don't even have that equipment anymore, but this one I still have, or this one I still have. So I want to see all the images taken with that equipment, and really only because I still have it, that's where I'm interested in doing an image analysis. So let's maybe take M51. I'm not want to run all, so I'm super selective. I'll click here and I'll run the analysis. Okay. The analysis itself is rather detailed and comprehensive. It will take a while, so it does scale with CPU power, but it does a tremendous amount of analysis. So 24 frames is obviously not a whole lot, but if you shove through 20,000 images in one go, it's not going to be done in 5 seconds, okay? So let's see what this gives us. Obviously, it gives us some basic stats right here. You'll see them all displayed in a nice table later on. If you have, obviously, multiple equipments, you'll see it per equipment. You'll see also the split by filter and average results. You can also compare equipment, explanation, graphs. So I think that is something for you to explore. And then what you always see is insights, right? This is where AstroIndexer comes to light. So quality analysis is not meant to blindly delete frames, right? It gives you a ranked technical review, so you know what to inspect first, and the score tells you where to look. But your eyes still make the final call. Now here you'll get a summary, right? You get insights about your data. Best season, best setup, best filter combination, what is limiting you, etc., etc. So the more data you scan, the more insights you'll get out of it. Then after you've done your quality analysis, let's pick the one image or the one object we did process, right? This is the one M51 we just did. So let's say I want to stack this, right? And I found, okay, from all the frames that I have, there's 18 that are really good. If, 22 if I'm really desperate. They have some issues. I can still use them, but 2 are rejected. I should not be using them. And then, if you'd like, you can take those 18. It will remember that you have calibrated frames set up in your calibration library. So you can just go and run in PixInsight, right? Or you can stack in serial. So it will take all your frames, it will do all the processing, and the final images it will put back into AstroIndexer so you can view it in your gallery. So if you would want to, you could just run all the unprocessed images and let them stack process automatically so you get a glimpse of what it looks like that you imaged. Image intelligence. So this is where insight really come to light. So once all your frames are analyzed, this is where you can start telling a bigger story. AstroIndexer becomes more than a browser because it shows you patterns across filters, across nights, across equipment setup. It shows you influence of moon condition, targets, dew. So this is not just generic astrophotography advice. It is based on your own imaging history, and the app will learn. So now obviously here we haven't done a whole lot. This is the one M51 file we've imaged, just to show you what it does. It does do another analysis here, but it's kind of looking for really patterns and image quality influencing issues in your images. It also gives you a glimpse of your sensor. So can have a look, star count, ellipticity, tilt, curvature, obviously, yeah, dead pixels. This is also where you can compare, for example, your equipment. I have my RC12 here with a mono camera, and I've got this with a one-shot color camera. So once you've done the analysis, you can compare performance. And the only difference is obviously here, the camera is different. You can see how well you're doing or how well your telescope is doing with one camera versus the other. That's what this is for. Patterns predictions. So this is where you'll see different patterns. You can open it up. It tells you what pattern is found, which frames are affected. You can view those frames to see for yourself. You can actually accept them, or you can also tag them to say, look, ignore those for stacking and take them out of the stack. And you can see a little sneak preview here already, right? It checks focus drift, moon impact, dew, tracking errors, temperature, influence, so moon separation, how high in the sky you are, etc., etc. So there's about 50 almost image quality related patterns the app checks for and tells you about. There's some machine learning and model training in here. We haven't been able to actually do this yet. It says we haven't collected enough data, or we haven't actually run the analysis part on enough data to give us really good insights. But what this will do, it will establish like a baseline for your equipment, so you can easier tell when there's frames that are totally off and that are not normal for your setup. And then comes AI Insights. So AI Insights basically takes all the data that we've just looked at and it gives you a more verbal interpretation of the data. So you can do it yourself, or you use AI insights to basically give you those insights. So that's going to run. There's 3 ways of doing it. If you use ChatGPT, if you use Anthropic and Claude, or if you don't use any of those and you don't want to use those because of the continued cost, there's a local model that ships with the app, and that you can also use. That is free forever. You can use it. It gives you a nice summary of what the data is showing you. There is obviously a limitation in terms of how much that model really allows you to see. So if you use an LLM, it will give you a more detailed summary than the local model is able to do. And that sums it up for now. I hope I've been able to give you a glimpse of what AstroIndexer can do for you. If there's questions, ping me. I hope you enjoy the app, and I'll